It's Brian. Last week on social media, and you probably saw it too, a bunch of Disney influencers were allowed to finally share their thoughts about the previews for the Disney Galactic Starcruiser hotel. That was a lot to say. If you've never heard of that, don't worry, I'll try to explain it. For the low price of every single dollar you've ever earned, plus taxes and fees, of course, you too can participate in the Star Wars story. All within the confines of a Star Wars themed hotel, eating Star Wars inspired menu items, imbibing with Star Wars related drinks for an additional cost, and enjoying Star Wars rich entertainment from character actors. Now, I was not invited because I am not an influencer yet, but we can change that. Did you know that 83% of people who watch this channel are not subscribed? 83%. That's gotta be at least a whole person, considering I only have 2 videos. We can change that though. I want my own little silver plaque to go on that wall. Let's make it happen. Just click the button, it's down there. We can get me off to Disney sponsored excursions in their very expensive hotels in the sky. Why not? Why not me? The good news is that you don't have to be an influencer. Yeah, I'm serious. There's so much content on Twitter and TikTok that you can just vicariously live through all the people who've been through it already. And the good news is you get to pay as much as they did, a $0 fee. And honestly, if I'm really thinking about it, we're coming out ahead because we didn't have to go to Florida to do it. That sounds like a win in my book. I wanted to take some time to go over those videos, to analyze what you get with your hotel package, and to see if the value proposition of the Starcruiser Hotel is actually worth it. Additionally, I'd love to talk about some of the audience reaction to these videos because it's some good stuff. Not incredibly diverse or varied stuff, mind you. It's mostly the same 2 talking points repeated ad nauseum. A, that Disney is charging way too much for this experience, and B, that the influencers who are evangelizing their little Mickey Mouse hearts out didn't really feel the impact of that financial strain. So this first video is from Meg on TikTok. It's a very broad overview of everything the hotel package has to offer, all of the sort of characters and entertainment and food offerings that you can get into, as well as some of the missions and stuff like that. And it does look pretty cool, seeing the droids and the characters and the different settings that you can be in. It looks very well fleshed out, looks very well done, and interesting and engaging and immersive in a lot of ways. We even get to do lightsaber training, which I don't know how that works, but I'd pay $25 to do that probably, just on its own. It does start to get in some of the story details, so I don't want to get too deep into this to preserve some spoiler aspects of things. Additionally, you have some tweets like this one from Brooke Geiger McDonald, who mentioned that this experience was so much better because of her kids who got so invested in it and immersed in it. And I guess, yeah, if you are of the age where you have kids and your kids are young enough where they can feel immersed, then it might be fun, but for the price, I don't know. Of course, also, in response to this, you got the people who are saying not worth $6,000. Of course. But beyond that, it kind of starts to break down. You get more and more videos of things. And so like this is one example. Rey and Kylo, I guess they have a lightsaber duel on the ship. It's a hotel. It's a building. It's not, you don't leave Earth at all. It's just a building. I just want to make that very, very evidently clear. But you know, Rey and Kylo, they get into a battle and Rey ignites her lightsaber, as you can see here. And then she has to switch it out for another one to do battle. And there's just like some very interesting choreography there. Also, they have this show where there seems to be some kind of hologram thing going on, but you can tell very clearly if you look closely that there's a spinning radial thing going on there. So it's not novel technology or anything like that. It's very basic stuff. So that's not really the sort of Imagineering I would have expected. Still pretty cool, but not the coolest. Then there's some of these presentations, the shows, they have this moving sidewalk to show this force choke working, bringing Rey closer to Kylo, but it's just so slow. She's going so slow. It's so funny to me. When you think about that scene in the movie, it's like she's like, bam. But in this, it's like, just, walk on over slowly. It's a nice leisurely pace. I just think it's funny. But I think the funniest thing that came out of this, without a doubt, was this stormtrooper struggling with the flag, trying to display the First Order pride there, just can't quite get it. So I just think it's funny. There's a lot of human aspects and human elements into this that make the experience a little harder to keep the immersion going. But, from those, it looks pretty cool. The interiors look nice. The characters roaming around, the droids, it all looks really cool. So after looking at all of that, do I think it's worth it? No, it's not worth it. And I think it's important at this juncture to mention that I am kind of a Disney adult, although I don't like to admit it. I grew up in Southern California, and I had family that worked for Disney at Disneyland. That meant that my family went once or twice a year, almost every year, and we always got in for free, which was a great benefit and a huge privilege. Because of that, I loved going to the parks. I have lots of memories for any spot in either Disneyland or Disney California Adventure where I can think about memories and feel nostalgic for certain things that happened either with my family or with friends in high school. Just there's a lot of nostalgia and sentimental value in that park. So while we're being honest, I'll just say it. Yeah, I still go to Disneyland a lot. One of the last things I did before the pandemic started was I went to Disneyland. Last October, I planned a pretty expensive trip with my girlfriend to go. We stayed 2 nights at the Paradise Pier Hotel. Right now, I'm looking at vacation packages to go back this fall for a longer trip at the Grand Californian Hotel, which is an even more expensive hotel. So yeah, I guess you could say I'm a Disney adult. And so with that in mind, let's bring it back to the Galaxy Starcruiser and why I think it's a terrible value proposition. So I kind of skirted around the price initially when I talked about it, kind of kept that a secret, although you saw it in the comments. But yeah, for 2 nights, for 2 people, Disney is asking $4,800 for this experience. That's a lot of money. It's about what I'm gonna spend for 4 nights at the Grand Californian Hotel. And you could probably get 10 nights at Paradise Pier or the Disneyland Hotel. Or if you wanted to go even cheaper, if you wanted to go to Disney World, you could probably do like the Pop Century Hotel for 2 weeks at that rate. Not too bad. Or if you're really smart, you might do like 1 day in Disneyland and then you and your honey pop on a jet, fly to some international city with the rest of the money and stay there for a week. That's probably the best use of those funds. Now, don't get me wrong. The fact that you can pave your own storyline is pretty cool. I love Star Wars, so it does kind of speak to me a little bit. But I am wondering who can suspend their disbelief long enough to get to the point where they're convinced they're in Star Wars? Who can reach that level of immersion? I know the answer, and so do you. It's kids. As we've seen, kids can join you on this trip, but it's going to cost you even more. For 2 kids to join, you and your partner, it will cost $6,000 instead of $4,800, which is also absurd. Just absurd. And for that price, you're afforded the luxury of them sleeping in a hole in the wall with sleeping bags. Such is the life of luxury at the Disney Galactic Starcruiser Penitentiary. As I mentioned earlier, I am currently looking to book a trip to Disneyland's Grand Californian Hotel. And when you're looking at rates for those rooms, they're sort of tiered out by what the view is out the window. So like rooms that see the park or downtown Disney are going to cost more than rooms that look at the parking lot, for example. Thankfully, this is one place where Disney chose not to upsell with the Galactic Starcruiser, and that's because there are no windows. Yeah, there are no windows. Instead, you have a screen that shows pictures of space, and that is what you're supposed to look at. And honestly, I don't even know if that's fully correct. There might still be an upcharge for that. That gives you a premium window display pixel image. There probably is. It's Disney we're talking about after all. But fret not, Disney has thought of this. You won't be trapped in the vortex of space forever. You won't feel claustrophobic because they do have a designated area. I think they call it an environmental simulation chamber where it just opens to outside. So you can go there if you're really longing to see the sky again. So let's say you spend your $6,000, you and your family are having a great time, your kids are feeling immersed and participating in the story and just enjoying it. And that's great. Eventually, though, that immersion is going to break down because there are characters like Rey who appear in this storyline. And it makes sense that Disney would bring in these existing characters. This is one of their biggest properties and it's something that sells. So yeah, they're going to be there. But when you have a park employee dressed as Daisy Ridley as Rey, it's not going to, the kids are going to notice. They're not that dumb. And I know this firsthand because about 2 years ago, my nieces were obsessed with Rey. And when I went to Disneyland and I saw Rey in Galaxy's Edge and asked to take a picture with her, my nieces didn't care. They thought I was just hanging out with some spirit Halloween patron. It wasn't Rey to them. And they knew that because they have a brain. And so I just wonder, at what point do the kids lose that immersion because they're like, wait, that's not Rey. And I think the aspect of immersion is what really brings down entirely the value proposition of the Galactic Starcruiser. It would be great in theory if it worked, but because of all these things that make it impossible for that to happen, it just doesn't. And so then you're forced to spend the rest of your $4,800 at minimum vacation trying to get the most out of this thing. And that doesn't leave a lot of time for you to get out and go to Disney World, which is the main reason people go to Disney properties, is to go to Disney World, to go to the parks. So then on top of spending your $4,800, you gotta pop on over to the Grand Floridian and spend a few nights there, 3 or 4 maybe, to experience all the parks. So this is really just an entirely add-on charge to everything else you're already doing in your Disney World stay. And it's $6,000 for a family. It's just ridiculous. It's a no-win scenario. In my eyes, you're spending all that money to drink some blue milk and to maybe hope that for a second you're convinced that you're living inside of Star Wars. And that's just not worth it to me. You can buy all of the accessories and food and whatever you want, but honestly, you can get the blue milk in Galaxy's Edge, and I feel pretty immersed walking through there on its own. So am I going to be staying at the Galaxy Starcruiser? Probably not. No. I'm going to definitively say no. No, I'm not. If I did, I wouldn't bring my kids though. I don't have kids, but if I did, I wouldn't bring them. Not because I don't think they would enjoy it. They would enjoy it probably more than I would, but because I don't want them to sleep in holes in the wall. That's just wrong. That's just cruel. I don't like that. Anyway, that's it. Bye.